Hello, everybody. Welcome to Most Wanted Topics. I'm your host, Kevin the Tank. Along with me is Atomic Tommy per usual. Hello, everybody out there. Atomic, how you doing?
You know, not too bad. It's been an eventful couple of weeks here at Most Wanted, from Buff Bagwell to Doug Mankey and Tom Nguyen, and just getting things set for March and spring and Rock and Roll Express on March 22nd. It has been a packed couple of weeks.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Atomic just said, it has been a roller coaster. We're already to mid-March this week. We are in mid-March this week. We are adjusting. You know, we set the clocks back. We got longer daylight, which is awesome.
Yep.
We got St. Patrick's Day coming up this week. We got all sorts of stuff. But boy, what a weekend last weekend was with Doug Mankey, Tom Nguyen, and Keith Champagne. I want to thank the three of them for coming to Most Wanted Comics. Really did a good job with the fans. There was a lot of fans there to see them, signing books, getting quick sketches done, and boy, the social media was lit up with some happy people. It was a lot of fun. And again, thank you guys for coming to Most Wanted Comics. March 22nd, we're having another event, so put it on your calendar. Rock and Roll Express. Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, Hall of Fame, Elite. I mean, you're talking old school tag team wrestlers, Rock and Roll Express. They will be here in person from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on March 22nd, so make sure you stop by the shop.
Not quite back to back to back, but pretty dang close.
Yeah. I
mean, we're keeping it hopping.
Oh, I know. We have, it just worked out that way. We try not to do them back to back because that's really hard on us to run events every single weekend.
It really is.
And then manage the store. So it just kind of worked out that way with the timing. So we're going to have a little bit of space, but fear not, there is a lot more to come in the future. Yeah. So make sure you're following us on Facebook and
but you don't want to miss out.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out. If you don't want to miss out, make sure you're watching the podcast. So make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to this channel.
Yep.
Make sure you follow Instagram, Most Wanted Comics LLC, and make sure you follow us on Facebook at Most Wanted Comics MN. All that, we will keep you up to date with all the cool stuff we have had at Most Wanted Comics. You know, Minnesota, if you want to come to the state, you are so lucky because there's so many comics in Minnesota. We are, a lot of states don't have what Minnesota has with the amount of comic artists, professionals, writers, stores, places to access comic and nostalgia and memorable collectibles. It's
small
unbelievable.
Shows,
local
shows. Sales. I mean, this is a comic state. It's a collectible state. I mean, there are dozens of card shops, dozens of comic book stores, which most of them, including your very own Most Wanted, doubles as like collectibles and toy stores.
It's so unique to the country.
Last year it felt like there was a sale or something every weekend. In the summertime. Minnesota, it's one of those funny things where you don't always realize how lucky you are to live in Minnesota with the comics you have. I always point as an example to Dan Jurgens, because everywhere you go out of state, Dan Jurgens has a huge line all the time. I mean, Dan Jurgens... Doug Mankey, same way. I mean, they're big names. I mean, Dan Jurgens especially, like Death of Superman, his whole run on action. A lot of people like Thor, right?
Booster Gold.
Here, a couple people.
Warlord.
These couple people here, you know? Been there, done that with Dan Jurgens, right? And, you know, Doug Mankey is awesome. He has a huge turnout here. Just because he doesn't do a lot, so we were very lucky to be able to get him into our store.
Yep.
But it's the same way. Like a lot of people in Minnesota don't realize just how lucky they really are.
Yeah. And Pat Gleason.
Is here.
Eric
Benjamin
Burnham,
Percy's here.
Otis Frampton. Man, you name it. I tell you what, we had Tom Nguyen. All sorts of.
Keith Champagne practically lives here. You know, he's here all the time.
Well, he's family.
He's family.
He's family. True. But yeah, I tell you what, if you're planning a summer road trip and you want to do comic experience, hitting all the comic stores, making Most Wanted Comics one of your stops.
Yeah.
If you're planning a road trip to come up to Minnesota, we invite you to stop by Most Wanted Comics and check out our little shop. And maybe on one of the events that we have happening. So stay tuned and you can plan your vacation around that as well.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot more to come on that. Let's dive right in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it was kind of a small week for comics this week, but we are a comic book store, so let's get back to talking comics. But Teen Titans Go kind of rebooted themselves. So why don't you talk about that, Atomic Tommy?
They did. Teen Titans Go had a new #1 this week. It's been a while since we have had Teen Titans Go in its stereotypical kind of recognized format, right? There's Titans, which is ongoing. That's, the adult versions, but it has been a very long time since we've had the younger versions of these characters in comic format.
Yeah, and just to interrupt for a quick second now, for the Teen Titans Go snobs, we all agree that the very original Teen Titans Go cartoon and comic was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But then Teen Titans Go reinvented themselves. They made it for an even younger crowd.
Yeah.
But with a lot of nostalgia for the older reader, so it made it a lot of fun.
And we'll get
so we're gonna dive into that. But I just want to say
that,
we're not disrespecting
that early 2000s
Teen Titans, because we all agree now. So we're gonna put that out there that was the best. Okay, so we're not ripping you or ripping the original Teen Titans Go from the early 2000s, but we're talking about how innovative and funny and cool both the last version, Volume 2 of Teen Titans Go, and then this volume of Teen Titans Go just rebooted itself. Okay, back to it.
And one of the things that I thought was most cool about it is because it's a relatively inoffensive book, right? It's not breaking any ground. It's for kids, but it's also for all ages, and it's also, if you're a fan of the current Teen Titans Go show, it's practically a one-to-one. I mean, the art, from the art style to the antics and the gimmicks, it was just like watching an episode. But what I thought was most cool about it, honestly, is it's really, and this is something not everybody might realize, but it's really nice to have sort of a cartoon adaptation book that's modern and current on the shelves. I'm going to dive into that a little bit, as I want to make sure people kind of understand what I'm saying, but it's not something you see a lot these days. I mean, you have cartoon adaptation comics right now from older properties, right? I mean, I think DuckTales, Thundercats, Transformers, G.I. Joe, right? These were all cartoons that now have comic book adaptations. Well, DC and Marvel used to have, and I'm talking, even just 10 years ago, right? 10, 15 years ago, they used to have a whole subsection of kids' comics that they would release weekly. Nowadays it's one or two a week usually. They're just kind of worked into like the regular section. They don't release as many kids comics because there just aren't a ton reading comics, and most of the stories released now are pretty family friendly overall, so they don't need to release a whole subsect of kids comics. But I think we can say now, back in the day, right? They used to 10 years back in the day, there used to be a whole lineup of kids comics, and they were all based off of cartoons going on at the time, right? Teen Titans Go was around to even before that, right? Justice League Unlimited stuff was coming out from like Batman the Animated Series, the original Teen Titans. It was awesome to be able to not only watch the show,
Christopher Jones and Young Justice,
perfect example. Thank you. It was awesome to be able to watch a show and come and read a comic, especially as a kid, where you can't always read the ongoing Batman on the shelf. It might be, you might not be old enough for that. So it's awesome to be able to watch a show, read the comic. That's not something you see a lot these days, right? It has been probably at least 5 years since that's happened.
Probably
about 5 years since that's happened. Same with Marvel. Like, Marvel doesn't have, they have adaptations and kind of tie-ins with their Disney Plus shows, but those aren't really exclusively kids comics, really stuff exclusively for kids. So I just thought it was really cool to be able to have that kind of a book out there. But onto the book itself, it was, again, I want to point out the art style, 1-to-1. There was some really cool stuff in the book, like they were jumping between art styles, so you got to see some really unique and really kind of different styles. There's a manga style, more detailed, cartoony, like Pokemon kind of style going on in here. The antics were there, the gimmicks were there. Teen Titans Go #1 was a hit. And again, I think we should talk about the show.
Yeah, I love the show, and I just want the reason why we're doing this is someone had to stick up for it. There was a lot of negativity towards this online.
There still is,
and that's fine. I get it, but I just want someone need to defend it because I rather enjoy it, and I still think it's funny, and I think Beast Boy is hilarious. I think Cyborg is hilarious. I love how they do it, and I love. If you're really paying attention, they do throw nostalgia in for the older reader.
They do.
And that's what made the show great. Like when they went back and did the A-Team. Yeah. I mean, it's not like a little kid nowadays would know what the heck they're talking about when they do the A-Team. Or when they go back into the 80s and do the Stranger Things and the love for nostalgia. And they're references. So they have something so the parent's watching with the kid. The kid thinks it's hilarious. The parent remembers. And it goes back to a nostalgia kind of high. And... They do the writing is creative, and if you can't appreciate that, I don't know, then you're just out to be negative about everything. And I get there's enough negativity because there's so much crap in the modern comics. I get why people are jaded where they have to criticize everything. But this Teen Titans didn't ram anything political down my throat. It didn't do anything down my throat. It was just a fun read. You either like it or you don't, but it's still meant to be fun with a little bit of something for everybody. And I think that's the main point. And the TV show is the same way. It's something the kids and the parents can watch it together. It's fun.
And Teen Titans Go, I think, really is the perfect kid show. I mean, it's paced well for the kids. It's a fun superhero story that they can understand. That's not over their head. That's not super complicated. And it's enjoying for the parents because they are able to work in a message, some kind of overall theme that not only entertains the kids, but teaches them something. I mean, I always think back to that episode where they teach how 401ks work, right? How, you know what I mean? How important dieting is.
There's subtle messages of learning with how compound interest works and
taxes, right? I mean, all that stuff. Yeah. Teen Titans
Daylight savings time.
Savings time.
That was great how they went after the farmer.
and that's a lot of what you see, not only a show, but in this comic. Just good, entertaining content that's good for kids, but also if you're open-minded enough, you can enjoy it at any age. And I think that's part of the reason why the show gets hated on so much is because, we established 2000s Teen Titans better, right? But this show, while it replaced it on airtime, was not meant to replace those characters one-to-one, was not meant to take over what they accomplished in the medium or what they stood for, right, as a show. It wasn't meant to directly replace them. It was meant to build on them, do a new take, a new spin, give a new generation of Teen Titans fans something to watch for younger audiences. Everybody hates it because they're comparing it to a show that it's not really meant to be compared to.
Right. They can't compare it to the early 2000s. The early 2000s was more of a serious...
it was a show. It was an
actual show. And it was a little more serious with comedy mixed in.
Yeah.
This is, who the good and bad is right away. You know what they're up to, and it's just funny the whole way through with their slapstick humor and their antics, okay? And they throw in some nostalgia and throw in some messages, but it's easy to watch, easy to understand, and easy to take in. You don't have to do much thought, and not every show has to be, so dramatic and so thought out. Something can just be fun and entertaining, and that's exactly what it is. So take it what it's for. It's not an Emmy award-winning show. Right. It's just an entertaining, good show. And the comics the same way. It's just a good children's read. That's for all ages. Yeah. I mean, enough said.
Enough said. And again, we wanted to talk about this because we like Teen Titans Go. And it was cool to see it on the shelf. And it was cool for it to be good. And we just gotta stick up for it.
And so Teen Titans Go, we defend you.
We do defend you.
So for all the haters out there, so there you go. Take that.
Yeah. And again, Marvel, you could be doing this too. I mean, Marvel doesn't have any real cartoons though. I mean, they have their Disney Plus stuff like the Spider-Man or X-Men 97, but those aren't really kids cartoons in the sense that
just get back to Spidey and Friends and have some fun with do some fun stuff.
The thing is too on that, like there's Spidey and the Amazing Friends now, which is for really 2 years and younger. But there's really nothing for that 5 to 10 range. You know what I mean? I mean, sure, they can watch Spider-Man, they can watch X-Men, but again, back in my day, We had Ultimate Spider-Man.
We had Marvel Superhero Squad.
We had Superhero Squad,
that
which
was
is
awesome.
a great show for all ages. But we had specific kids Marvel comics that had comic book follow-ups. Marvel needs to, I think, do better at that. They need more of that. I mean, X-Men, those early Spider-Man shows, those early X-Men shows, I mean, from the 90s to X-Men, the animated series, and the ones from the 2000s, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, those were shows that inspired fans, that got people into the material.
And again, all ages
from
watched
a young age.
All ages watched
and
it.
They hold up. I mean, now, sure, again, X-Men 97, great. Spider-Man, fine, right? But you're not drawing in younger audiences that way. So I just think DC, I love the Teen Titans Go. Marvel, we could be stepping up a little bit.
Get back to Marvel Superhero Squad. Start there, and then do another
reboot.
Do another cool, amazing Spider-Man cartoon that's like and like Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Go back to a cool Avengers cartoon.
We do need a cool Avengers cartoon. Again, I think Your Friendly Neighborhood could get there with time. New season, I think, could really build it. I don't really think this first season was a great showing.
They tried to put too much in it.
If we're aiming for a good kid-friendly, sit down and watch Spider-Man show, this first season wasn't really that. It's no Ultimate Spider-Man. It's no spectacular Spider-Man, right? But it could get there in time. X-Men is a little bit more for your diehard fan, I'd say, than it is for your newer X-Men fan, but can be enjoyed by any age. But anyway, we don't want to ramble too long. We just wanted to talk about that. We do need to talk about now, though, what's coming up this week here. So we're keeping it all Marvel here, though. First, another Marvel one-shot here. Nick Fury versus Fin Fang Foom. It is incredible to see
Nick Fury has been good.
My boy Fin Fang Foom back on the shelf.
Nick Fury, Fin Fang Foom. That's a must-read. Make sure you pick that up when it comes out.
And Marvel's been doing really well with those one-shots, so it's nice to see those. It's nice to see one-shots make a return.
Yeah,
anyway,
they're really struggling right now.
Marvel, and another thing I'll say, though, is you might be wondering, Teen Titans Go, that's it? Well, that's really all there was to talk about this week. There was really nothing of note released. I mean, you had the new Doctor Strange book, which I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan. I'm not a huge Doctor Strange reader. I'm not a huge Doctor Strange
the
guy.
variant covers were more interesting than the story this week.
Yeah, and it again, like that, but that was kind of the best we had from Marvel. We had the new Doctor Strange book, which again, okay, cool, but ugh.
We had nothing in the DC world as their new Scooby-Doo, at least.
There might be a new Aquaman this week. That's
Aquaman's
for Mark.
been good. Remember, Mark.
For Mark.
That was for Mark.
Aquaman.
I read Aquaman just for you, buddy, and Aquaman surprisingly was good.
Aquaman is good. Again, I mean, just to go on a little side thing here before we wrap up, Jeremy Adams, which is who writes Aquaman, one of DC's top writers. I mean, it's really Mark Waid, and then I'd say it's Jeremy Adams. Jeremy Adams does some solid work.
Shout out, Jeremy Adams. Good job. Speaking of shout outs, we have some shout outs. That was an excellent segue. We do have some requests for some shout outs this week. Hey, we're going to start out this week with Rick and Melissa.
We are. We're going to start out.
Rick and Melissa,
shout out.
Shout out to you. And of course, Matt and JD, always as normal, our usual fans. We love you guys. Thanks for supporting us every week. Shout out Dan, the Superman fan. Dan, thank you for always supporting us.
Dan, the Superman fan. We might hear about that.
Sorry, Spider-Man fan. I got mixed up with David there.
That wasn't me for the record. Sorry. Dan. I didn't put him up to that.
Okay. Amazing Spider-Man fan. Dan, sorry about that. David, Superman, a.k.a. Superman fan. There we go. David, Superman fan. Sorry to mix that up. Then we have, of course, we have Jamie. Then, of course, we have Jimmy the Sousa. Then we have Caleb. And then we have Rick. And we also have Jeff, Ryan, Mark, and hi, Mark. We want to make sure we get that in there. We also have Brian, and Brian. 3 Brians this week that wanted to shout out. Can't believe that. And then, of course, there's Eli. Shout out to Eli. And then, of course, we have a new Mark. We have Mark O. Shout out to Mark O. Yeah, so that makes 3 Marks too now.
3 Marks. A lot of Marks.
We got there's a lot of Marks.
A lot of Brians.
And then, I don't want to forget, I got my list. And then, of course, we have Pat, Larry, and then Sheila. So there you go. Shout outs for the week. If you want to be on a shout, make sure you let us know. If you want to be on the shout out, make sure you send us an email or make sure you text us or make sure you put a comment down in the section that you want to be on the shout-outs next week.
Absolutely.
We'll be happy to acknowledge you. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like button. We want to make sure you're following us every week. And remember to put March 22nd on your calendar for Rock and Roll Express. We'll be talking about that again next week and the pump up for it. But otherwise, it's going to be nice weather. Enjoy Minnesota spring. It's going to be a nice week. So have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next week.